Hi, this is HP from Noise Junkies.
And this is Father Malone from Dark Destinations.
Please join us as we examine one of the greatest sitcoms in television history, Taxi, on Night Mr. Walters, a Taxi podcast.
Good night, Mr. Walters.
Weirding Way Media.
Now check this one if you will. Tonight we offer you the sour fruit of a scientist's failure. For there are apparently some things that can't be accomplished. And therein lies the tale and hangs the picture. In this, the Night Gallery.
Welcome back, art lovers, to Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast, where we discuss Night Gallery, Rod Serling's follow-up to The Twilight Zone. I'm Father Malone, and with me here in the gallery are the Culture Cast Chris Stachiw.
I can't wait to talk about Breakfast at Tiffany's Own's Mickey Rooney.
And the Projection Booth's Mike White.
Have you seen my collection? I've got Hitler.
Is that a one of one?
Yeah, it's actual
New
scale.
Inbox. Yes. Mint.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tonight we're talking about two episodes from Season 3. They are Rare Objects and Spectre In Tap Shows.
Our artists and artisans take a rather pardonable pride in their work that you see hanging here. An example is this item here. It's called Rare Objects and represents that potpourri of collector's items that some men are prone to acquire. But there are collector's items and collector's items. Offered to you now an excursion into the very strange. Tonight's offering in the Night Gallery.
Rare Objects is from Season 3, Episode 3. It aired on October the 22nd, 1972. This was written by Rod Serling and directed by Jean Zwark, starring Mickey Rooney, Raymond Massey, Faye Spain, David Fresco, Victor Sen Young. He was Hop Sing on Bonanza, but they've reduced him to a virtually non-speaking servant role here. Also, Regis Cordic. He was Dr. Peel in Primal Scream, Night Stalker Season 2. Guys, and he's in 2 of episodes of Columbo, and he's in 2 of my favorite episodes of The Monkees, Christmas episode and Fairy Tale. This one's about a gangster on the lam seeking asylum with a man with a penchant for collecting interesting people, or not so interesting. What'd you think, Chris?
It is so goofy. And the reveal is so... Oh, my God. You know... When they start going down the list of people, and the first one that they start with is, hey, look, they come out swinging. They don't have Hitler immediately, but they have Anastasia. So you know where this is going. And then it's Judge Crater and stuff like this. Story is, it is a blackout sketch, once again, played for a 30-minute episode. And it could have been... This is almost in a lot of ways essentially a different version of what was the one with not Kevin Spacey, Bobby Darin, and the old man from Willy Wonka?
Oh boy, yeah.
Jack Albertson. Is that not this? But just here's another iteration. Instead of him being turned into dog food, he's just kept in a cage somewhere. It's that, and I think we all agree Dead Weight was a blackout sketch, and I think that this is a blackout sketch. I do think the I've got a Hitler thing is pretty funny, but it was bizarre through and through. But hey, Mickey Rooney sure knows how to disgustingly eat a plate of pasta. Just like a real fucking just, ugh.
Whoever thought that Mickey Rooney could play a tough guy? That I just don't understand that at all.
Wait a second. It's the same people who asked, could this man play Japanese?
Oh man. The whole time I was just like, he's a gangster. He's supposed to be a gangster.
That's what he always wanted to be. His whole life.
I wrote in my notes, I love tough guy Rooney. He's 4'0" with a marble bar between him and a 6-foot guy who looks like he could tear him apart. Later on, we're with him and his gangster Maul, and I thought she could tear him apart.
Yeah.
I'm so angry. Oh, okay. Wipe that pasta off your face first.
This was a rough one. I mean, I love Raymond Massey, but I think I was better off with Raymond Massey the last time he was on the show.
He was more appropriate in that one. Speaking of the last one, it's the same set. He's in the same house.
Wow.
I was about to ask because it looked like it. I was like, man, it's too bad they didn't show the top of the mantle and his head was there. Like, that'd be a little weird. What's the continuity of that one?
That would have been great, actually. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to see Mickey Rooney's mouth close up with sloppy fettuccine all over it. Oh, my God. Also, fettuccine in a red sauce? Check his papers. No,
wait a second. You're saying that's not a thing?
It shouldn't be. No joke, by the way. Okay, his name's Kolodny, and he's played by a tiny Irishman, but he's clearly Italian. He's eating pasta in an Italian restaurant. His right-hand man is named Tony. He's clearly supposed to be Capone or somebody like Capone. But why wouldn't they just lean into the Irishness of him? Like, there aren't any Irish gangsters? I'll name some. Dean O'Banion, Bugs Moran, Oni Madden. Come on, man. Buddy McLean, Mickey Mean Machine Murphy. He was a Boston.
Whitey Bulger.
Well, yeah, there you go. Those are Boston boys. How about Sean Irish Car Bomb McKenna? That, to me, was a mess in the episode. Either just make him straight Italian or make him Irish. I don't know why this interim Kolodny. It feels like the stuff that Serling used to complain about when he was writing for, like, Playhouse whatever. Oh, they made me change the character's ethnicity so that wouldn't offend anybody, but that's what he's doing here. Okay, was this the 50s? I'm guessing it's the 1950s. Oh, until there was a wah-wah guitar and synth playing, so then I assumed we're in the 70s, but then Mickey Rooney gets in a Model T Ford, so now I guess it's the 30s, but then Hitler, so 46 afterwards? I don't know. This was the weirdest time episode of all time. I have no idea what era we were in.
I was disappointed that at the end it wasn't like, and then there's an alien. There's just an alien in the cell. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to fully just embrace the dumb, because this, like, the reveal in this episode is a really, like, just, again, it sounds derogatory, but it is very not well thought out. It makes very little sense. Like, it is a gag. It is a visual gag that once you start thinking about it logistically, it makes no sense, but it's not being played purely as a visual gag. Like, this is the climax of the episode. This is how the episode ends. We are led to believe the episode wraps up with him being placed in a cell. The end. Like, it's, I laughed. I thought it was funny, but I'm not going to sit here and defend it as quality. Like, I can appreciate for something for how absolutely just ridiculous it is, which I think this episode is firmly in that camp.
I think I could have enjoyed this one if it were a blackout skit, but it just takes so long to get there. And Raymond Massey just chewing it up. Everybody, Rooney and Massey, are both chewing up the scenery, but it takes Massey a long time to get where he's going with his soliloquy. And I can only think that that's thanks to Rod, where it's just like, oh, cool, I get to write for this guy, and I'm just going to overwrite it so much.
Rod Serling overwrites something?
I know.
Heaven forfend. Rod, for some reason, decides that we need to know how he's keeping these people here, that there's a wonder drug involved that makes them docile and also gives them longevity. So he's going to be there forever. Okay, we didn't need it. Chris, you mentioned the episode Dead Weight with Bobby Darin and Jack Albertson. And while we were watching that episode, I think we all theorized that it was going to go to some weird supernatural place. Like, all of the potential lame avenues that episode could have gone in, this one did. Yes, he's going to hold him and keep him prisoner forever. And there's going to be some, it was so bad. And then, let me say this. I mentioned I would start doing this. Hooray for Day for Night. It looks so good. Looks so fantastic in this episode. Congratulations yet again, Night Gallery, for a glorious Day for Night. The other thing I want to say is they feature it a lot. Mickey Rooney's trembling lower lip. All I could think every time he did it was some studio handler not beating him on the day that he was able to do that, where they instructed him that he needed to look scared. It was such a rote thing. Like, I'm scared now. I will do the lower lip thing that they taught me, or they beat into me when I was a child. I know that's terrible, but kept thinking about it.
The question that I have is, what does one do with a Hitler?
Yeah.
What does one do with an Amelia Earhart or a Judge Crater? What, you just have them in a cell and they just sit there? Like, again, like the stakes of the episode, all of a sudden, yeah, like you mentioned, they go from feeling realistic to, and then there's a door that opens and Hitler's there. And
it's very similar to that Star Trek episode. Well, many Star Trek episodes, but especially that one with Saul Rubenstein, where he kidnaps Data and has him there. He wants these unique items. So
he's the collector from Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. So Roald Amundsen, sure. Yeah, why not? I love Norwegian polar explorers. Let's get this guy in here.
Right. Judge Crater, great. They're just a couple years away from Hoffa. That's the one that we don't have here. But yeah, again, like the logistics and everything aside, like the twist is just okay. And his explanation is just very strange. And for all the posturing that he does essentially before we find out what the reveal is, for that to be the reveal, it's like, and that's what all the posturing was for? Hitler in a cage? Like, okay.
Also, it's Amelia Earhart and Anastasia and blah, 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 and Kolodny?
And Hitler. Kolodny and Hitler are of the it's the way that they ate pasta.
Just make it about Al Capone. This is what happened to Al Capone, everybody.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Or Hoffa. Again, like, or Hoffa. Like, that's what I equated this to, but they hadn't gotten there yet. And again, this dude was just some schmuck criminal. He wasn't anything. Like,
right.
Oh, but I think you undersell yourself, sir. I think you are much more than just that.
Yeah. I would say Bobby Darin was worth more of a rare object worth keeping because he killed kids and said it was okay. Most gangsters aren't okay with that. He was a real scumbag gangster. This guy's just,
this guy's a loser, obviously. Like,
his own guys want to kill him. Like, like his own people want to kill him. I don't understand.
You're not good at your job, sir.
You're going into hiding because you're a bad gangster. It's just the conceit of the episode is bizarre. And then, it feels like it's a joke because it's Mickey Rooney.
Oh, when he pays the waiter, he pulls out this huge wad of cash. I am 100% convinced that was just Mickey Rooney's wad of cash. He's renowned for walking with a wad big enough to choke a horse.
Wow. I forgot that Rooney played a gangster once before, at least. He was Blue Chips Packard in Skidoo, the classic Otto Preminger film.
A movie I have never gotten through.
Oh, boy, yeah, it's tough. And I think he does acid with Jackie Gleason in jail.
See, that makes me want to watch it, and I'm going to get fucking 20 minutes into it again, and I'm just going to go, what am I doing?
Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Maybe there's a clip on YouTube.
At least Mickey Rooney wasn't doing Yellowface. At least there's that.
Thank heavens for small favors. Aha, Mickey Rooney's tiny.
Oh.
He's just a little guy.
Our paintings are in oils, watercolor, acrylic, charcoal, and occasionally formaldehyde. Case in point, this painting here. It's called Spectre In Tap Shows, having to do with the nearly lost art of tap dancing. A said terpsichorean pursuit taking on an intriguing dimension when the dancer happens to be a ghost, as is so often the case in the sort of thing that you view in the night gallery.
Spectre In Tap Shows. This is season 3, episode 4. It aired on October the 9th, 1972. Happy Halloween, everybody. Written by Gene Kearney. Remember him? This is from a story by Jack Laird and directed by Jean Zwark. My God, it does roll off the tongue. This one stars Sandra Dee, her second appearance, Dane Clark, Christopher Connolly, and Russell Thorson. Sandra Dee's sister, a tap dance instructor, has committed suicide. But is she really gone? What'd you think, Mike?
This is another one where I'm kind of hoping you guys can explain this one to me because I was just having a real hard time.
She went off on a trip, came home, and her sister had hung herself, but she could still hear her tapping as she was going up the stairs. And then she found that she was dead and had been dead for some time. And then no one believes her, but that she keeps hearing these things, and her sister's possessions keep showing up where they should not be able to be suddenly available to her. And a real estate guy shows up and says, listen, you're going crazy in here. Why don't you sell me this place? And she says no. And she continues to go nuts. Neighborhood kid shows up, says, where's your sister? Well, are you going to start dancing again or something? And then he leaves. And she goes further and further insane. Her psychiatrist thinks that she's actually developing a split personality of some sort, that she's taking on all of her sister's traits, and that it seems that that's the way it's going. The sister's ghost is now speaking to her, urging her to follow her on her path to suicide. And it turns out all of the sounds in the house were all recordings from the real estate guy in an effort to drive her insane in an ultimate Scooby-Doo-like ending. And it doesn't work. But then...
Thank you for adding that part.
But then she wouldn't have known where certain objects were hidden in order to save herself. So maybe the ghost of the sister is here. What's that music upstairs? That makes sense now?
Thank you. So clear now. That's perfect.
I didn't have the same issues you did following it, Mike. I had a different issue. What, like this? Why have this goddamn idiotic ending? It's like, that's all I could think was Scooby-Doo, like the Scooby-Doo ending. But then they did the other thing that they always do with these things, where it's like, it was a real thing, but it was also a supernatural thing. And it's like, oh, fuck you. Like, that's my response. It's like, you're doing both. And it's such a shame because you don't feel comfortable with just one or the other. So you have to make sure you do both because you don't trust your audience enough, is what it feels like, for it to have just been supernatural. What's the problem with it being supernatural? It's Night Gallery. Ghosts are okay on Night Gallery. Last time I checked.
We're pulling the rug out from under you.
Oh.
It's the twist.
Yeah, that was some Alfred Hitchcock Presents bullshit. That's not Night Gallery. We don't need that here. We don't want that here. We want a ghost. In the final scene, when Sandra Dee has her sister's tuxedo on, she's approaching the noose. We get a shot of a silhouette standing in front of the window, and there's darkness behind that. I actually felt dread during that moment while I was watching it. This is an episode I had not seen previous, I should point out. It's hard to make me feel dread during the course of a 2-hour movie, never mind a 25-minute episode of a television series sandwiched in between commercials. So to have this, and it was just an old man at the end, is so insulting, because now I have to instead think about Dane Clark going through her house dressed all in black, like hiding audio equipment, and then did he hire someone to impersonate her sister's voice? What's that loose end? And then was he like hiding in the house the whole time and like sneaking the objects into sight? Like, none of it makes sense, which is a drag, because I felt the horrible sensation of needing to know who that shadowed figure was and simultaneously wanting to know nothing less. I don't want to be like an Academy member who just throws an award every time they feel an emotion, but God damn it, this achieved what the show was supposed to do. Plus, Sandra Dee's performance is so fucking solid. She's eminently watchable. She avoids all of the bundle of tics that most actors fall into when someone is going insane. I believed everything she was going through, and it was subtle, and it got worse and worse, and it was a transformation from herself to her sister over the course of the episode. If they had given us a lame ending with a ghost, it would have been more satisfying than it was all in your head and it was some fucking culprit. Good God.
And then Sandra Dee just murders him too.
That was the good part of the episode.
Yeah, it's wild though, because very rarely on this show have we had our hero just straight out murdering someone to bring the plot to conclusion. Like, normally there's some sort of Twilight Zone-y outside interference. She just pulls out a gun and shoots him point blank. It's like, it's surprising. It's more like Tales from the Crypt more than anything else. Like, it's tonally, it's kind of strange for Night Gallery.
The house she was living in, that's the corner house on Colonial Street, technically New England Street on the Universal backlot. It's where Matlock lived.
Oh, very nice.
Fun fact, it took me all morning to find that one.
I agree that Sandra Dee definitely brought it. And other than seeing her on an earlier episode of Night Gallery, I'm pretty unfamiliar with her work. So I did download Gidget, and I'm looking forward to checking that out.
I did too.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go on a Sandra Dee tear now. It's a corner of my brain that is unfulfilled at this point. All right, we're gonna play a preview of our next episode, and we'll be right back to wrap things up.
Tonight we offer you the sour fruit of a scientist's failure. For there are apparently some things that can't be accomplished. And therein lies the tale and hangs the picture. In this, the Night Gallery. We offer you paintings like this one. A graphic illustration of one of the most persistent and eternally recurring nightmares, shared all too commonly by all of us. That fear of being helplessly trapped in some inescapable circumstance, and with it the hope that we can discover an exit. The title of this painting is The Other Way Out, and it poses the question, is this trip desirable? Because this is the Night Gallery. Their taste, of course, must of necessity run toward the slightly odd, or at the very least, the bizarre. That's what we deal with here, the bizarre. The expected, unexpected, if you will. As in the case of this painting here. It's called Fright Night, featuring that beloved star of stage and screen. The name eludes me, but there is, you'll note, a familiarity about it. Actually, this fiery apparition is the sort of thing that appears in strange houses, because that's what this painting depicts, a very strange house. And you're welcome to share it with us, because this is the Night Gallery.
That's right. On the next Midnight Viewing, we'll be taking a look at Season 3, Episodes 5 and 6. You Can Come Up Now, Mrs. Milliken, Smile, Please, and The Other Way Out. That's right. One of the episodes has 2 segments. Oh, my God. Heaven forbid. Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast, is a proud member of Weirding Way Media Group, and the theme song was composed by HP. Until next time, what are you working on, and where can people find it, Mike White?
I'm always working on new episodes. I've been doing a lot of coverage of some film festivals lately. So go on over to weirdingwaymedia.com, where you can download every episode of The Projection Booth, all the specials, all the regular episodes, as well as some of the other shows that I work on, including The Shabby Detective, which is all about the detective named Columbo. So hopefully you find some enjoyment in that. And how about you, Chris?
Same. You can find everything I work on at weirdingwaymedia.com, including the Culture Cast, which is a weekly movie podcast that I do every week.
And as for me, you can also find me at weirdingwaymedia.com. You can hear my shows Noise Junkies, it's a music podcast, or Dark Destinations, it's a half-hour radio drama I write and produce. Thank you once again for joining us here at Midnight Viewing. The gallery is now closed.